As we grow older, especially after the age of 60, life begins to change in ways that society often misunderstands. One of those changes is that many women find themselves living alone, without a husband or partner by their side. Almost immediately, people begin making assumptions. They believe she must be lonely. They assume she regrets her past. Some even think she has somehow failed. But what if the truth is completely different? What if living alone after 60 isn't a sign of sadness, but a sign of wisdom that only comes with age? Meet Margaret, a 71-year-old retired teacher. Every morning, she wakes up before sunrise, makes herself a cup of tea, and enjoys the quiet from her living room window. Her neighbors often wonder if she feels lonely, but what they don't see is that Margaret has never felt more at peace. Today, we're exploring the real truth about women who live alone without a man, and the 5 surprising realities that every woman over 60 and every family member should understand. The first truth is this: many older women finally put themselves first after decades of putting everyone else first. For most of their lives, many women become experts at taking care of everyone except themselves. They raise children, support their husbands, care for aging parents, manage the household, and quietly solve problems that no one else even notices. Over time, putting everyone else's needs first becomes such a natural habit that many women forget to ask themselves one simple question: what do I want? Psychologists say that later life often brings an important emotional shift. As responsibilities become lighter, many women finally have the opportunity to reconnect with themselves. Instead of living according to everyone else's expectations, they begin making decisions based on what truly brings them happiness, peace, and purpose. This isn't selfishness, it's balance. After spending decades giving their time, energy, and love to others, many older women finally realize it's okay to give some of that care back to themselves. Margaret understands that feeling better than anyone. For nearly 40 years, every morning began with responsibilities. Someone needed breakfast, someone needed advice, someone needed help. Her own plans always came last. Today, everything is different. She enjoys her morning tea without rushing. She reads books she never had time to finish. She spends hours in her garden, and sometimes takes long walks simply because she feels like it, not because she has somewhere to be. One afternoon, her daughter asked, "Mom, don't you ever feel guilty spending so much time on yourself?" Margaret smiled gently before replying, "I spent most of my life taking care of everyone else. I think I've finally earned the right to take care of myself." Her answer wasn't about loving her family less. It was about finally valuing herself more. Research suggests that women who maintain healthy independence later in life often report greater life satisfaction, better emotional well-being, and a stronger sense of purpose than many people expect. But putting herself first wasn't the biggest change Margaret experienced. What happened next gave her something she hadn't felt in decades, and it completely changed the way she looked at the rest of her life. The second truth is this: freedom from constant caregiving. For many women, caregiving isn't simply something they do. It becomes part of who they are. For decades, they care for children, support their husbands, look after aging parents, help friends, and quietly carry responsibilities that often go unnoticed. Their own needs almost always come last. Over time, constantly taking care of everyone else can become emotionally exhausting. Many women spend years asking, "What does my family need? How can I help? Who depends on me today?" They become so focused on everyone else's happiness that they slowly lose touch with their own. Experts who study healthy aging say that one of the biggest emotional changes many women experience after 60 is the freedom to step away from constant caregiving. As daily responsibilities become lighter, stress often begins to decrease. Their minds become calmer, their emotions become more balanced, and many finally have time to rediscover the person they were before life became filled with endless responsibilities. This doesn't mean they stop loving their families. It doesn't mean they stop caring. It simply means they finally understand that taking care of themselves is just as important as taking care of everyone else. Margaret didn't realize how emotionally tired she had become until life finally slowed down. For years, every phone call meant another responsibility. Every weekend belonged to someone else. Every holiday was spent making sure everyone around her was happy before she even thought about herself. Then, for the first time in decades, everything became quiet. At first, the silence felt unfamiliar, but slowly, it became something she looked forward to. She no longer felt guilty for reading a book on a peaceful afternoon. She enjoyed taking long walks without checking the time. She could sit with a cup of tea, listen to the birds outside her window, and simply enjoy the moment without feeling that someone was waiting for her to solve another problem. One afternoon, her sister asked, "Margaret, don't you ever miss always being needed?" Margaret smiled gently before answering, "I still love the people in my life with all my heart, but I've learned that caring for others should never mean forgetting yourself." Those simple words carried a lesson that many women don't discover until much later in life. True caregiving should never require sacrificing your own well-being. In fact, researchers have found that older women who maintain healthy personal boundaries often enjoy better emotional health, lower stress levels, and greater overall life satisfaction than those who continue carrying responsibilities they no longer need to carry. But something unexpected happened after Margaret stopped spending every day taking care of everyone else. It wasn't loneliness. It wasn't regret. It was a quiet confidence that surprised her family and even surprised Margaret herself. How did that happen? That's the third truth, and it may completely change the way you think about growing older. The third truth is this: living alone builds confidence. One of the biggest myths about older women living alone is that they become more dependent as they grow older. Society often assumes they need someone else to manage their finances, make important decisions, solve everyday problems, or simply navigate daily life. But research and real life often tell a very different story. Many experts believe confidence in later life isn't something people are born with. It's something they continue building through everyday experiences. Every bill paid independently, every new skill learned, every problem solved, and every decision made without relying on someone else quietly strengthens self-belief. That's why many older women discover abilities they never realized they had. They learn to manage their finances. They become comfortable using smartphones and online banking. They schedule their own appointments. They travel independently. They solve problems that once seemed overwhelming. Over time, these small victories begin changing the way they see themselves. Instead of thinking, "I hope I can do this," they begin saying, "I've handled harder things before." Psychologists explain that this process is known as self-efficacy, the confidence that grows when people repeatedly overcome challenges on their own. Studies have linked higher self-confidence in older adults with better mental health, greater independence, lower anxiety, and higher overall life satisfaction. Margaret experienced this change herself. After losing her husband, she suddenly had to manage responsibilities she had never handled before. At first, she felt uncertain. She asked questions, made a few mistakes, and slowly learned things that once seemed impossible. Months later, she noticed something unexpected. The things that once frightened her had become part of her normal routine. One afternoon, her neighbor smiled and said, "Margaret, you've become so confident." Margaret smiled and quietly replied, "I didn't become stronger overnight. I simply stopped doubting the strength I already had." That simple realization reflects what many older women eventually discover. Confidence doesn't come from having an easy life. It comes from proving to yourself, one small step at a time, that you're capable of handling whatever life places in front of you. But confidence wasn't the biggest surprise waiting for Margaret. What she discovered next changed the way she looked at relationships forever, because she realized that the deepest connections in life aren't always romantic. And that's the fourth truth, one that surprises many women after 60. The fourth truth is this: friendship often becomes more valuable than romance. One of the biggest misconceptions about older women who live alone is that they're constantly searching for another romantic relationship. Society often assumes that without a husband or partner, something important must be missing from their lives. But many older women discover something completely different. As people grow older, emotional priorities naturally begin to change. The need to impress someone becomes less important. The need to feel understood becomes much more important. Instead of chasing romance, many women begin investing in relationships built on trust, honesty, and shared life experiences. Researchers studying healthy aging have found that strong friendships are one of the greatest predictors of emotional well-being later in life. Older adults who maintain meaningful friendships often report lower stress, better mental health, greater resilience, and a stronger sense of belonging. Some studies even suggest that supportive friendships may be linked to healthier aging and a better quality of life. That's because friendship offers something unique. There's no pressure to impress, no unrealistic expectations, no need to pretend to be someone you're not, just genuine understanding. Many older women discover that a weekly coffee with a trusted friend, a morning walk together, or a simple phone call can bring more comfort than they ever expected. Margaret experienced this herself. After retirement, she joined a small community book club. At first, she simply wanted something to do once a week, but over time, she found something much more meaningful. She met women who understood her without long explanations. Some had lost their husbands. Others had experienced divorce. Some had chosen to remain independent. Although their stories were different, they shared many of the same emotions. One afternoon, someone asked Margaret, "Do you ever wish you could start another relationship?" Margaret smiled and answered, "I don't miss having someone beside me every day. I miss feeling understood, and thankfully, I found that in true friendship." Her answer reflects something many experts have observed. Emotional connection is far more important than relationship status. Feeling respected, feeling accepted, feeling understood. Those are the relationships that continue to enrich life long after romance is no longer the center of it. Perhaps that's why so many older women no longer measure the richness of their lives by who's waiting for them at home. They measure it by the people who truly care when life becomes difficult. But even friendship wasn't the greatest discovery Margaret made. The final truth had nothing to do with living alone, and nothing to do with relationships. It was about one simple realization that completely changed the way she defined happiness. The fifth truth is this: happiness comes from purpose, not partnership. Perhaps the greatest lesson many older women discover is that lasting happiness doesn't come from having someone beside you. It comes from having a reason to wake up each morning. For much of life, purpose often revolves around other people: raising children, supporting a family, building a home, and caring for loved ones. Those responsibilities bring meaning, but eventually, they begin to change. Many women begin asking themselves, if no one needs me the way they once did, what is my purpose now? The answer often surprises them. Purpose doesn't disappear with age. It simply changes its shape. Researchers who study healthy aging have found that older adults who continue pursuing meaningful activities often experience greater life satisfaction, better emotional health, and even improved physical well-being. Whether it's volunteering, learning a new skill, traveling, mentoring younger generations, caring for a garden, creating art, or helping their community, purpose gives each day direction. It reminds us that growing older doesn't mean becoming less valuable. It means discovering new ways to contribute. Margaret didn't find her purpose overnight. She found it one small step at a time. She began volunteering at her local library, helping children discover the joy of reading. She planted flowers that brightened not only her own garden, but also her neighborhood. She became the friend who listened without judgment, the grandmother who always had time, and the neighbor who never hesitated to help. One evening, her granddaughter asked, "Grandma, are you happy living by yourself?" Margaret smiled warmly and replied, "Happiness isn't about who lives in your house. It's about whether you love the life you wake up to every morning." Those simple words stayed with her granddaughter for a long time because they contained a truth that many people spend their entire lives searching for: A meaningful life is built on purpose, not relationship status, not society's expectations, and not what other people think your life should look like. If there's one message to remember from today, let it be this: living alone does not define a woman's happiness. Her daily choices do. Her attitude does. Her willingness to keep learning, growing, loving, and finding purpose. That's what creates a truly fulfilling life. So, if you know a woman who lives alone, don't assume her story is filled with loneliness. She may have discovered a freedom she never thought possible. She may have found a confidence she never knew she had. She may have built friendships that became family. And most importantly, she may have finally created a life that feels completely her own. Thank you for spending this time with us. If this video encouraged you or changed the way you think about aging, please share it with someone who might need to hear this message today. And subscribe Health Vibe. And remember, growing older isn't about losing the life you had. It's about discovering the beautiful life that's still waiting for you.